Hi, I am Rashid, a Nile certified teacher trainer. For more than 15 years, I have studied how people learn, communicate, and develop expertise. My background spans educational psychology, linguistics, neuro-linguistic programming, communication training, and leadership development. If you are serious about becoming a more effective English teacher, you are in the right place. Again, my goal is simple, is to help you teach with clarity, confidence, and professional purpose. Now let's go to our situation. Imagine the post-lesson feedback. Your tutor points to the lesson plan and asks a simple question. Why did you start with translation? Then do a drilling stage, then finish with an information gap, and the honest answer was, I wanted a mix. That answer feels flexible, open-minded, sounds professional, but in an observed lesson, it can collapse very quickly. Because a mix is not methodology. A mix is a shopping basket. The real question is not whether grammar translation is old or communicative teaching is modern. The real question is this. Can you explain why this activity for these learners at this time, at this moment, supports this learning aim? That is the difference between random eclecticism and principled eclecticism. And here is the filter. I want you to remember this. Aim, learner, mechanism. Start with the aim. What should change by the end of the lesson? What should students know, understand, or be able to do? You say, at the end of the lesson, students, then consider the learner. Who are they? What is their level? What is their context? What is their first language? What are their needs? What are their expectations? You have to know your learners. Then ask about the mechanism. How is learning happening here? Through input, noticing, memory, practice, interaction, feedback, retrieval, or through reflection. If you cannot answer those three questions, the activity may still look busy. You're happy. It may even look enjoyable, but you cannot defend it. So a method is not just a collection of activities. A method carries beliefs, your beliefs. It tells you what language is, what learning is, what teachers are for, and what evidence matters. Take grammar translation. It is easy to caricature an old textbook, a long reading passage, a vocabulary list, a grammar rule, a translation exercise, and very little speaking. But pause before dismissing it. Grammar translation had a clear aim. A successful learner could read serious and complex texts. A successful learner could explain grammar rules accurately, translate carefully, memorize vocabulary, and write precisely, like here in Vietnam. We adopt this method. The teacher was the authority. The first language was useful, not a problem. It was the route to meaning. A lesson might begin with a literary text, move into vocabulary equivalence, then a grammar explanation, then written practice. That sequence was deliberate. It was built around analysis, around accuracy, around written control. If your aim is fluency, that is not enough. But if your aim is reading or contrastive noticing or translation exams, or maybe understanding form, some of those techniques still have value. The problem was never that every tool was useless. The problem was the definition of learning was too narrow. This is where many teachers make the opposite mistake. They say, never translate, never explain grammar, never use the first language. Then what happens? Students whisper translation to each other anyway. The teacher explains grammar anyway. And everyone pretends the method is purer than reality. You are not a better teacher because you ban techniques. You become a better teacher when you understand the purpose of each technique, method. Translation can be lazy if it replaces meaning making, but it can be powerful if it highlights false friends or reveals word order differences or exposes meaning distinctions students keep missing. Explicit grammar can be lifeless if it becomes the whole lesson, but it can be useful if it gives learners a clear handle before they speak, before they practice. The mistake is simple. Treating methods like tribes. All equals bad. Modern equals good. Guys, classrooms are more complicated than that. The question is not, is this old or new or modern? The question is, what job is it doing? Now look at methods as different lenses. The direct method asks, can meaning be built inside the target language without translation? The audiolingualism asks, which patterns need fast and accurate rehearsal? TPR asks, can learners demonstrate understanding before they speak? CLT, Community Language Teaching, asks, are learners using language for a communicative purpose? TBLT asks, does the task create a genuine need for language? What else? Dogme ELT asks, what language is emerging from these learners in this room right now, at this time? Each method notices something and misses something. This is why loyalty to one method can make you sharp in one direction and blind in another. Guys, you don't need to marry a method, but you should learn the question it asks, because those questions sharpen your planning. Now, put one lesson aim through 4 lenses. Imagine the aim, given directions, a grammar translation, move might compare, turn left at the bank with the learner's first language, and explore word order. A TPR move might put students on a floor map, walking and turning, following routes physically. An audiolingual move might drill chunks like go straight on or take the second right until confidence increases. Let's say a communicative move might give students A a map and students B a destination. So listening matters here. If students keep saying turn to left, contrast may help. If they understand words but cannot follow routes, TPR may help. If they know the chunks but sound hesitant, drilling may help. If they can practice but cannot transfer, the map task may help. So none of these moves is automatically good, none is automatically bad. Their value depends on the aim, the learners, and the lesson sequence. The real danger is activity shopping. You borrow a warmer from one website, a grammar activity from a course book, a game from social media or YouTube, and a role play from somewhere from memory. Each activity works alone, but together the lesson has no spine. So students feel the jumpiness between stages. Even if they cannot explain it, they do a fun warmer, grammar box, worksheet, speaking task that barely needs the grammar they studied. So the teacher says the lesson was varied. Okay. The tutor says the lesson lacked coherence. That is why eclectic can become a dangerous word. Sometimes it hides the absence of decisions. The teacher has not decided what kind of learning each stage should create, and when something fails, there is nothing to diagnose. Was the input wrong? We don't know. Was practice too controlled? We don't know. Was the task too open? Random eclecticism gives no clear answer. Principled eclecticism is different. It says I can borrow techniques, but every technique must earn its place. So use the filter. We talked about aim, learner, mechanism. Imagine the aim. Students can give directions clearly and confidently. Imagine the learners, adult learners, students sharing a first language, confusing prepositions and feeling nervous about speaking. Now consider the mechanism. First, briefly contrast the confusion, prepositions, then use TPR on a floor map so meaning becomes physical. Then drill key chunks for confidence and pronunciation. Then run an information gap where students guide partners through a route. Now, the lesson uses translation, movement, drilling, and communication, but it's not random. The sequence here has logic. Its stage changes conditions for the next stage. That is what philosophy does. It turns methods into decisions. Not I am a TBL teacher, I am a communicative teacher, but I choose procedures based on some problems. So here is a practical way to write your philosophy. Don't start with I believe lessons should be communicative. That statement is too broad. So try something sharper, like I believe learners need meaningful language use, but they also need support before that use. Or this, I use the first language when it sharpens meaning, not when it replaces teaching. Or this, I use drilling when learners need confidence with pronunciation or 4, but I don't treat accurate repetition as proof of communication. Then test your philosophy. Test it against lesson plans. Does every stage have a clear job? Does the sequence move from support to use, from use to feedback, from input to noticing? A useful philosophy gives you yes and no. It tells you what you will do, what you will avoid, and what evidence would change your mind. So all teachers should have philosophy, their teaching philosophy. Now return to the tutor's question. Why translation, then drilling, then an information gap? The answer is no longer I wanted a mix. We agreed about that. The answer becomes the translation stage surfaced an L1 problem. The drill stage built control over direction chunks. The information gap tested whether students could use those chunks to guide a partner through a real route. This answer might still be challenged, and that is healthy. You might discover this translation stage was unnecessary, or drill was too long, or the task needed a clearer outcome. But now you are discussing principles, not defending a shopping basket. You moved from mix to rational. Why? And this is, you're gonna have it very often on Delta classes. And once you explain your teaching philosophy, the next challenge appears. How do you plan from it? Most teachers start with activities. Stronger planners start with evidence. What evidence will show that learning happened? That is where we go next. In the next video, we explore backward design and discover why the best lessons or the best lesson plans start with assessment, not activities. On Delta courses, we have assignments. We start with learners, their needs, analysis, introduction, of course, needs, analysis, suggestions, and stuff like that. Yeah, suggestions. You suggest solutions to the problems they have. Okay. So this is what we are gonna see in the next video. Thank you so much, guys. See you. Goodbye.